The tree tunnel tragedy. It started as a gap between trees. Not a trail, not even a clearing. Just a narrow opening where the bark seemed to peel away from itself, curling inward like fingers, beckoning. Vines hung low, thick and rope-like, trembling though there was no wind. I should have walked past it. But the inside looked softer, quieter. The forest behind me buzzed with insects and distant birds, but the tunnel swallowed sound. Even my own breathing dulled as I stepped in. The walls weren't walls. They were bark, layered and folded, etched with lines so dense they seemed to move if I stared too long. The deeper I went, the more those lines bent toward me, curving inward, like they were trying to remember my shape. Above, clusters of pale leaves, or maybe growths, hung in bunches. They clicked softly together. Not leaves, teeth. I stopped walking. That's when the tunnel exhaled. A slow, damp breath pushed past me from deeper inside, warm and sour. The vines shifted, tightening slightly along the walls. I turned back. The entrance was gone. Not closed. Not blocked. Gone. The ground dipped and curved unnaturally, like I was moving along the inside of something alive. The floor pulsed faintly beneath my steps, soft in places, too soft, like stepping on packed flesh instead of soil. The lines on the walls began to change. They stretched toward me, following me. Each step forward pulled them tighter, narrower, as if the tunnel was constricting. The hanging clusters above dropped lower, brushing my shoulders. When one grazed my neck, it bit. I screamed and tore it off. It wriggled in my hand before going limp, leaving a wet, circular wound that pulsed in rhythm with the tunnel itself. That's when I understood this wasn't a passage. It was a throat, and I was already too far inside. The vines snapped downward, wrapping around my arms, my waist, my legs. They didn't pull me back. They pulled me deeper. The walls opened slightly ahead, just enough to reveal a hollow, a widening space where the lines converged into a dark, waiting center. It looked almost like an exit. Hope is a cruel thing. I let it carry me forward. The moment I crossed into that hollow, the ground gave way. I dropped. Not far, but enough to land hard on something slick and uneven. The walls sealed behind me with a wet, grinding sound. Above, the tunnel twisted shut like a closing jaw. In the dim light, I saw the floor. Bones, layered, broken, smoothed down by time and pressure. Not just animals. Shoes, fabric, a hand, still wearing a ring, half sunk into the pulsing surface. The walls here didn't have lines. They had grooves. Deep ones, claw marks. The tunnel tightened again. This time, it wasn't subtle. The entire space contracted in one slow, deliberate motion. Bones cracked beneath me. The walls pressed inward, folding, compressing, reshaping. The air forced out of my lungs as the weight settled in. I tried to scream. There wasn't enough space left to open my mouth. The last thing I felt was movement beneath me, like the remains shifting, making room. Not for me to escape. For me to fit. So yeah, if you ever find a quiet little tree tunnel that looks oddly inviting, maybe just don't. Take a nice normal path, one that doesn't breathe. The trees can keep their shortcuts. Thursday and Tuesday for new stories.